From dream to plan. From dream to plan. Goal-setting systems. Introduction. Most people do not fail because they lack dreams. They fail because their dreams never become a plan. They want to get in shape, build a business, write a book, change careers, save money, improve relationships, learn a new skill, and for a moment they feel inspired. They picture the future and they imagine the result. Then life happens. Work gets busy, energy dips, family demands rise. The plan was never clear. The goal was never measurable. Nothing was scheduled. And because there was no system to return to, motivation becomes the only fuel. Motivation is a terrible fuel. It is inconsistent. It depends on mood. It disappears when pressure rises. If motivation is your strategy, you will keep starting and stopping, and then blaming yourself as if the problem is character. In reality, the problem is architecture. Most goal failure has the same handful of causes. The goal is vague, so there is no clear target. The goal is not measurable, so you cannot tell whether you are improving. The goal is not scheduled, so it is permanently postponed. The goal is not reviewed, so mistakes repeat and progress drifts. And when life knocks you off course, there is no return system, so one missed week becomes a lost month. This audiobook exists to fix that. We are going to move from dream to plan. We are going to take what you want and turn it into a system you can execute weekly. Not with hype, not with wishful thinking, with structure. You will learn 3 practical tools and how to make them work in real life. You will learn how to write a goal so it gives your brain clear instructions, not vague hope. You will learn how to turn a goal into a plan that fits your life, not a fantasy version of your schedule. You will learn a weekly execution rhythm that keeps you moving even when motivation is low. And you will learn how to review and adjust without guilt, so your progress becomes steady instead of emotional. Here is the mindset shift that changes everything. A dream becomes a goal when it is defined. A goal becomes a plan when it is measurable and scheduled. A plan becomes reality when it is reviewed and adjusted. If you can do those 4 things consistently, your life becomes more deliberate by default. Before we begin, take a moment to think of one dream you have carried for a long time. Not 100 dreams. 1. Something you still want, but have not made consistent progress on. Write it down in a short sentence. Then ask yourself this simple question. If that dream became real in 12 weeks, what would I have done each week to make it happen? That question is the beginning of a system. Now let's build it. Chapter 1. Outcome versus process. The first mistake people make is confusing outcomes with process. An outcome is what you want. A process is what you do repeatedly to get it. If you focus only on outcomes, you will live on emotional swings. When the scale moves, you feel good. When it does not, you feel discouraged. When revenue rises, you feel powerful. When it dips, you panic. When you feel close, you push. When you feel far, you stall. Process is stability. Process is what you can control. You cannot control results directly. You can control actions. So, goal setting begins with clarity about both. Ask yourself 2 questions. What outcome do I want? What process will produce it? Here is an example. Outcome: lose 10 pounds in 12 weeks. Process: walk daily, strength train 3 times a week, and eat within a defined calorie range. Now a different domain. Outcome: launch a new service and earn £5,000 this quarter. Process: publish weekly content, reach out to 5 prospects per week, and deliver 2 sales calls per week. Now a relationship example. Outcome: rebuild closeness with my partner. Process: 1 intentional conversation each day, 1 date night each week, and 1 honest check-in about needs every Sunday. When you define process, you stop negotiating with your mood. You stop waiting for the perfect day. You have a plan, but there is another subtle mistake. Some people define process, but they define it in a way that is still too vague. They say, "I will work harder," or "I will be more consistent." Those are not processes, they are wishes. A real process is observable. It is something you can point to and say, "I did it," or "I did not." Here is a short real-world example. A man named Daniel wanted a promotion. His outcome was clear: step into a more senior role. But his approach was not a process. His approach was hoping to be noticed. He worked long hours, but without strategy. He felt busy, but not effective. When the promotion did not come, he felt resentful and confused. We rebuilt the goal around process. Instead of get promoted, his process became deliver one high-impact improvement each week, ask for feedback every Friday, document achievements in a running log, and schedule a monthly development conversation with his manager. Within 12 weeks, he was not only performing better, he could prove it. He was no longer hoping, he was building evidence. That is the point. Outcome gives direction. Process gives momentum. One of the most useful questions you can ask is this: if I achieved my goal, what would I be doing regularly that I am not doing now? The answer is your process. Now let's make it practical. Pause and answer this question clearly. If you removed your desired result from your mind and focused only on what you can do this week, what would you do? Write down 3 actions. Not outcomes. Actions. Then choose the smallest one and schedule it. Recap. Outcomes inspire you, but processes change you. If you want consistent progress, define what you will do repeatedly and let the results become the byproduct. Chapter 2. Smart Goals Done Properly. Smart goals are everywhere. And yet most people still write them in a way that sounds organized but changes nothing. A SMART goal is meant to eliminate vagueness. It gives your brain clear instructions. It turns a wish into a target. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But the power is not in memorizing the acronym. The power is in writing a goal that forces clarity. Let's do it properly in speaking language. Specific means you can describe the goal in one sentence without vague words like more, better, improve, or successful. Instead of get healthier, say walk 8,000 steps a day and strength train 3 times weekly. Instead of grow my career, say complete a portfolio project and apply for 10 roles. Measurable means you can track it without guessing. Instead of save money, say, put £200 into savings every week. Achievable means it stretches you, but does not require a fantasy version of your schedule. If you are working 2 jobs and caring for family, 2 hours of deep work every night may not be achievable right now. Achievable does not mean easy. It means realistic. Relevant means it aligns with your actual season of life and values, not someone else's expectations. Time-bound means it has a deadline, which creates urgency and focus. Now, notice something important. A deadline is not the same as a schedule. A goal can be time-bound and still fail if there is no time allocated for it. So when you make a goal time-bound, also decide when you will work on it. Time-bound plus time-blocked is a plan. Let's apply SMART with examples. Here is a weak SMART goal that people often write. In 3 months, I will improve my fitness. It has a deadline, but it is not specific, not measurable, and not tied to action. It is too vague to guide behavior. Here is the stronger version. In the next 12 weeks, I will complete 12 strength sessions and walk an average of 8,000 steps a day, so that I can reduce body fat and improve energy. Now you can measure it, you can schedule it, you can execute it. Here is a strong SMART goal for fitness. In the next 12 weeks, I will complete a 10-kilometer run by training 4 days per week and gradually increasing my long run distance weekly. Now, a strong, smart goal for career. Within 12 weeks, I will secure interviews for a new role by submitting 20 high-quality applications, completing 5 networking conversations, and practicing interview stories twice weekly. Again, operational, not emotional. Now here is the part most people miss. A SMART goal must be paired with a weekly plan. If you write a SMART goal and do not translate it into weekly actions, it becomes a well-written wish. So here is the simplest method. Take your SMART goal and list the actions that would make it inevitable. Then, divide those actions across 12 weeks. You do not need a perfect plan. You need a plan you will actually do. A short example. Someone wants to write a book. A vague goal is, write a book this year. A SMART goal might be, write 40,000 words in 12 weeks by writing 5 days per week for 45 minutes. Now it becomes a weekly target, about 3,300 words per week, and it becomes a daily action, about 660 words per day. Now you have a plan. Now you can execute. Reflection question. If you wrote your goal so clearly that a stranger could tell whether you completed it, what would it sound like? Rewrite one goal you have now in that form. Practical instruction. Write one SMART goal for the next 12 weeks. Then, underneath, write one sentence beginning with, every week, I will make it concrete. Then, schedule your first block of time for it in the next 7 days. Recap. A SMART goal is not a motivational statement. It is a set of instructions. If you want goals that work, write them so they tell you exactly what to do and then attach them to a weekly schedule. Chapter 3. OKRs for personal life. OKRs stand for Objectives and Key Results. They are powerful because they separate what you want from how you measure progress. An objective is qualitative. It describes direction. Key results are quantitative. They measure evidence. Most people fail because they only have objectives. They want confidence, success, freedom, peace, or stability, but they do not define measurable proof. OKRs force evidence. Here is a personal OKR example. Objective: build a strong body and steady energy. Key result 1. Strength train 3 times per week for 12 weeks. Key result 2. Walk at least 8,000 steps 5 days per week. Key result 3. Sleep 7 hours minimum 5 nights per week. Now a business example. Objective: launch a service offer that generates reliable income. Key result 1. Publish 1 value-based post per week for 12 weeks. Key result 2. Speak to 30 qualified prospects in 12 weeks. Key result 3. Close 5 paying clients by the end of week 12. Now, a financial example. Objective: create financial breathing room and reduce stress. Key result 1. Save £200 per week for 12 weeks. Key result 2. Reduce discretionary spending to a set weekly amount. Key result 3. Pay off 1 targeted debt or reduce it by a specific amount. The strength of OKRs is that they remove self-deception. You cannot hide behind ambition. Your key results tell you the truth. But there are 2 common mistakes. The first mistake is choosing too many key results. If you have 10 key results, you have diluted focus. Keep it small. 3 is enough. The second mistake is choosing key results you cannot influence. For example, gain 10,000 followers can be a result, but you do not control it directly. A better key result would be publish 12 high-quality posts and collaborate with 3 creators, and engage thoughtfully for 15 minutes a day. Those are controllable. The follower growth can follow. The goal of key results is not to impress anyone. It is to create a scoreboard you will actually use. Now apply this to something more internal. Objective. Become calmer and more focused. If the key result is feel calm, you cannot measure it consistently. Instead, key results could be 10 minutes of breathing practice 5 days per week, journal 4 days a week, and no phone for the first 30 minutes of the morning. These are measurable. Now the objective becomes more than a desire. It becomes a plan. Reflection question. If your objective succeeded, what numbers would prove it? Write 3 key results that would create evidence. Practical instruction. Write 1 objective statement for the next 12 weeks. Then write 3 key results beneath it. Make the key results so clear you can mark them done or not done each week. Then choose the first key result and schedule the first action that supports it. Recap. Objectives give you direction. Key results give you truth. If you want goals that do not drift, define the evidence that will prove progress. Chapter 4. The Goal Stack. One reason people feel scattered is because they set goals at the wrong level. They have long-term dreams but no near-term structure. Or they over-focus on daily tasks with no connection to purpose. You need a goal stack. Think of it as layers. Vision is the direction of your life. Annual is what you want to achieve this year. Quarterly is what you focus on in the next 12 weeks. Weekly is what you commit to this week. Daily is what you execute today. If you skip layers, you drift. If your goal is only at the vision level, it stays vague. If your goal is only at the daily level, you become busy without direction. The quarterly layer is the most powerful because it is long enough for progress and short enough to stay urgent. Here is how you know you lack a stack. You feel guilty all the time, but cannot name what you should be doing. You have many tasks, but no clear proof that you are moving forward. You keep restarting because you cannot see the path. The goal stack fixes that by giving you a ladder. Now here is a simple way to build it. Start with vision, but keep it short. Vision might be, I want to be healthy and strong, with a stable income and meaningful work. Then choose 1 annual focus, not 10. Annual focus could be, this year I will build a strong health foundation. Then choose 1 quarterly objective that supports it. Quarterly objective could be, in 12 weeks I will complete a 10-kilometer run and establish a consistent training routine. Then choose weekly commitments. Weekly commitments could be, train 4 days per week, plan meals on Sunday, walk daily. Then choose daily actions. Daily actions could be, today I will run 20 minutes and I will plan meals tonight. Now everything aligns. A real-life example. Marcus wanted to start a business and get healthier at the same time. He kept bouncing between dieting and business ideas, getting excited, doing a few days of effort, then losing momentum. He had too many goals at once and no stack. When he built a goal stack, he chose 1 quarterly focus, launch a simple service, and get 1 paying client. He kept health as maintenance rather than transformation, daily walks and 3 workouts per week. The business became the priority. Within 12 weeks, he had his first client. The next quarter, he shifted focus to health. This is how adults build progress, 1 main focus at a time, with maintenance elsewhere. Reflection question. At which level are you currently stuck? Do you have a big vision but no weekly plan? Or do you have a full to-do list but no clarity about what it serves? Write your vision in 1 sentence. Then write 1 quarterly objective that would move it forward. Then write 1 weekly commitment that supports it. Practical instruction. Choose 1 major focus for the next 12 weeks. Make it measurable. Then write your weekly actions on 1 page. That page is your spine for the quarter. Recap. The goal stack turns confusion into alignment. When your daily actions ladder up to your weekly plan, and your weekly plan ladders up to your quarterly objective, you stop drifting and start building. Chapter 5. Strategic Planning in 30 Minutes. Strategic planning sounds complex, but it does not have to be. Strategic planning means answering 4 questions. What do I want? What will it take? What might stop me? What will I do about it? This is how you stop being surprised by obstacles. Now, I want you to imagine we are doing a real session together. If it helps, pause the audiobook after each step and write your answers. Step 1. Define the goal clearly. Write the goal in 1 sentence. Use the SMART or OKR structure we have discussed. For example, in 12 weeks, I will complete a portfolio project and apply for 10 roles. Or, in 12 weeks, I will lose 10 pounds through 4 weekly training sessions and calorie tracking. Be precise. Step 2. List the resources you already have. Resources include time, skills, connections, tools, money, environment, and support. Be honest. Do not undervalue your resources. Sometimes your greatest resource is simply access to information and a willingness to follow through. Write, I have 2 hours on weekends, or I have 30 minutes before work, or I have a friend who can review my CV. Step 3. List constraints. Constraints are what makes real life real. They include work schedule, caring responsibilities, fatigue patterns, health limitations, financial limits, and stress. Constraints are not excuses, they are factors. If you ignore constraints, your plan will break. If you plan with constraints, your plan becomes durable. Write them down clearly. For example, I cannot train in the evenings because of family, or I get drained after work, or I can only do deep work on weekends. Step 4. List risks. Risks are patterns that tend to derail you. These are the real dangers. Procrastination triggers, overthinking, fear of failure. Phone distraction, social commitments, mood dips around week 3 or 4. Write your biggest patterns. Now step 5. Create countermeasures. This is where a plan becomes strategic. You are not trying to eliminate risk. You are designing around it. If evenings are chaotic, schedule morning work. If you avoid difficult tasks, create a 2-minute start rule. You will do just 2 minutes. That is enough to get you moving. If you scroll at night and lose sleep, put your phone in another room and set a bedtime alarm. If you get discouraged at week 3, schedule an intentional reset in week 3. Lighter load, more sleep, and a review of progress. Now, step 6. Design the smallest plan that works. This is a key idea. Many people build a plan that only works on high-energy days. Then, real life hits and the plan collapses. Instead, create a minimum plan that you can maintain even on tired days. If your ideal plan is 4 workouts per week, your minimum plan might be 2. If your ideal plan is an hour of study per day, your minimum plan might be 15 minutes. You can always do more when you have energy, but the minimum plan protects continuity. This is how you stop breaking promises to yourself. A short example. A woman named Layla wanted to upskill for a promotion. She planned to study at night after work. She failed repeatedly, not because she was lazy, because nighttime was a constraint. She was depleted. When she planned strategically, she shifted study to mornings, 30 minutes before work while her mind was fresh. It felt smaller, but it worked. Within 8 weeks, she had completed a course. Her life did not become easier. Her plan became smarter. Reflection. Question. What has stopped you in the past, and what system would prevent it this time? Be honest. Practical instruction. Set a timer for 30 minutes today. Answer the 4 questions on paper. Then choose 1 countermeasure and implement it immediately. Finally, write your minimum plan in 1 sentence so you know exactly what showing up looks like. Recap. Strategic planning is not predicting a perfect future. It is designing for reality. When you plan for obstacles before they appear and you build a minimum plan that works, your progress becomes stable instead of fragile. Chapter 6. The Weekly Execution System. This is where goals become real. Goals fail in the gap between intention and calendar. The weekly execution system is the bridge. Every week, you choose 5 things. 1 weekly focus, 1 measurable action, 1 stretch move, 1 reflection, 1 reset. Weekly focus is the main theme for the week. It gives you a lens. Measurable action is the must-do outcome that proves progress. It is either done or not done. Stretch move is the uncomfortable action that accelerates growth. It builds capacity and courage. Reflection is what you learned from the week. Reset is what you adjust without guilt. Here is how to run the week in a calm way. At the start of the week, pick your focus and measurable action. Then identify 3 priority blocks in your diary, not 10. 3. If you can execute 3 things consistently, you will build momentum. If you try to execute 15, you will feel behind before you start. Now let's make it real. Here is a 4-week example for someone building a content-based business. Week 1. Focus. Clarity. Measurable action. Publish 1 foundational post and outline your offer on 1 page. Stretch move. Message 5 potential customers and ask what they need without pitching. Reflection. What patterns did you hear? What language did they use? Reset. Adjust your offer wording based on what you learned. Week 2. Focus. Consistency. Measurable action. Publish 1 post and reach out to 5 prospects. Stretch move. Record a short video and post it, even if it feels awkward. Reflection. What format felt most natural? What response did you receive? Reset. Set a schedule you can keep for the next 4 weeks. Week 3 focus. Resilience. Measurable action. Send 5 outreach messages and book 1 call. Stretch move. Ask directly for the sale or ask for the next step clearly. Reflection. What objection appeared most? What made you hesitate? Reset. Improve your responses script and simplify your call structure. Week 4. Focus. Proof. Measurable action. Close 1 client or secure 1 strong testimonial. Stretch move. Raise your price slightly or add a clearer guarantee. Reflection. What created trust? What was your strongest lever? Reset. Refine your process so next month is easier. Now, a second 4-week example for health because the system must work everywhere. Week 1. Focus. Consistency. Measurable action. Complete 3 workouts. Stretch move. Prepare 2 healthy meals in advance for the week. Reflection. What time of day worked best? What got in the way? Reset. Choose the easiest time and protect it. Week 2. Focus. Energy. Measurable action. Walk 8,000 steps 5 days. Stretch move. Be asleep by a set time 4 nights. Reflection. What changed in mood and appetite? Reset. Reduce 1 friction point, like leaving shoes by the door or setting a reminder. Week 3. Focus. Discipline during the dip. Measurable action. Do the minimum plan even if motivation drops. Stretch move. Do 1 workout on a day you would normally skip. Reflection. What story did your mind tell you when you wanted to quit? Reset. Write a short sentence you will use next time, such as, I do not need to feel like it to do it. Week 4. Focus. Proof and feedback. Measurable action. Track your week and review it honestly. Stretch move. Share the plan with someone for accountability. Reflection. What is improving? What is still inconsistent? Reset. Adjust the target to fit your life, not your ego. Now your reflection question. If you could only accomplish 1 measurable thing next week that would make you proud, what would it be? Write it now. Practical instruction. Choose your weekly focus, measurable action, and stretch move for the coming week. Then book them into your calendar before anything else. Recap. Weekly planning turns goals into reality. One focus, one measurable action, one stretch move, one review, one reset. Repeat, and progress becomes predictable. Chapter 7. Tracking without obsession. Tracking is not the same as obsessing. Tracking is awareness. Obsession is anxiety. You need a simple scoreboard, not a complicated dashboard, not a system that makes you feel like you are being judged. There are two types of metrics. Lagging indicators show results. Weight loss, revenue, followers, grades, savings. Leading indicators show actions. Workouts completed, outreach sent, hours practiced, meals prepped, pages written. Your focus should be on leading indicators because they drive results. Lagging indicators are important, but they are delayed. If you only watch lagging indicators, you will react emotionally instead of thinking strategically. Here is a simple rule. Track what you control. Measure what you want. Meaning, you control actions, you measure outcomes, so your scoreboard should include mostly leading indicators. For fitness, a simple scoreboard could be workouts completed, average steps, average sleep. For business, outreach messages sent, calls booked, revenue. For study, hours practiced, practice tests completed, weak areas reviewed. Now, why do people turn tracking into obsession? Because they use tracking as a verdict on their worth. They step on a scale and decide whether they are good or bad. They look at audience numbers and decide whether they are talented or not. That is not tracking. That is self-attack. Tracking is supposed to support learning. When you see the numbers, you ask, what does this teach me? Not, what does this say about me? A real-world example. A man named Chris wanted to save money. He tracked every penny and checked his banking app 10 times a day. He became anxious and depleted. Tracking became punishment. When he simplified, he tracked only 3 numbers weekly: money saved, unnecessary purchases avoided, and debt reduced. He checked them once per week during his review. He felt in control. The difference was not the numbers. The difference was the relationship. One more useful concept is frequency. Some things need a daily tick mark, like, did I write today, or did I do my workout? Some things need weekly totals, like steps, hours, outreach. Some things only need monthly measurement, like body weight, savings balance, revenue. If you measure everything daily, you will feel like you are being watched. If you measure nothing, you will drift. Choose the right rhythm. Reflection question. When you track progress, do you feel clearer or more anxious? If it makes you anxious, your tracking is too frequent, too complex, or too tied to your self-worth. Practical instruction. Choose 3 numbers only. Decide how often you will track them, then track them at that frequency. If you want to track daily, keep it to a simple tick mark. Once a week, use the numbers to make one adjustment. Recap. Tracking should create clarity, not guilt. Focus on leading indicators, simplify your scoreboard, and treat the numbers as feedback, not judgment. Chapter 8. Failure modes and fixes. Most goal systems fail in predictable ways. If you can name the failure mode, you can design the fix. Let's name the most common ones. Perfectionism. This is when you want the plan to be flawless before you start. You tweak, research, and optimize, but you do not execute. Fix. Start with a small, ugly plan, then improve it through weekly review. Overload. This is when you try to change everything at once. You redesign your diet, your schedule, your business, your relationships, your fitness, your sleep, all in 1 week. Fix. Choose one primary objective per quarter and keep everything else as maintenance. Inconsistency. This is when you perform well for a few days, then disappear. Not because you are weak, but because your plan is too heavy. Fix. Reduce the plan to a minimum viable routine you can keep even on bad days. Distraction. Your attention gets hijacked. Your time disappears. You cannot focus. Fix. Create environment rules. Phone away. Calendar time blocks. Clear workspace. Clear boundaries. Emotional dips. Week 3 and 4 often feel harder. Motivation drops and you start questioning yourself. Fix. Use a return protocol. A return protocol is what you do when you do not feel like it. It is not dramatic, it is simple. Here is the return protocol in one sentence. Reduce the plan to the smallest action you can do today. Do it, then rebuild tomorrow. Smallest action might be 5 minutes of movement, 2 minutes of reading, 1 paragraph written, 1 outreach message sent, 1 clean meal. The goal is continuity, not intensity. Here are 2 extra rules that protect the return. The first is the 2-day rule. Do not miss twice in a row. Missing once is life. Missing twice is a new pattern. So, if you miss a workout on Tuesday, Wednesday becomes the minimum plan day. You do something even if it is small. The second is the compassion rule. After a miss, do not waste the next day punishing yourself. Punishment drains energy. Energy is what you need to continue. Treat a miss as information. Ask why it happened, adjust the plan, then resume. A short example. A woman named Priya was training for a run. Week 3, life hit hard. She missed 2 sessions. Her old pattern would be to quit and restart next month. This time, she used the return protocol. She did 10 minutes of walking and a few stretches. That was it. The next day, she did 15 minutes. By the end of the week, she was back to her plan. Her identity learned a new lesson. I resume quickly. That is the difference between people who finish and people who quit. Reflection question. Which failure mode has been your pattern? Perfectionism, overload, inconsistency, distraction, emotional dip. Name one. Practical instruction. Write your return protocol now. Keep it simple. It should include what you do when you miss a day, what you do when you feel overwhelmed, and what you do when you feel discouraged. Include your minimum plan and your 2-day rule. Recap. Failure is not a surprise. It is a pattern. When you name the pattern and build the fix, you stop being dramatic about setbacks and start being strategic. Chapter 9. Review and replan. If you do not review, you drift. Review is not punishment, it is calibration. It is where experience becomes intelligence. There are 3 levels of review: weekly, monthly, and quarterly. Weekly review is 15 minutes. Ask 3 questions. What worked? What did not? What will I do next week? To make this easy, use a simple script. Start by reading your measurable action for the week. Was it done or not? Then read your key indicators. What changed? Then ask, what was the biggest friction point? Finally ask, what is one adjustment that will make next week 10% easier? That is enough. Monthly reset is a deeper check. Are the indicators moving? Is the plan realistic? Are you still committed, or have you been doing it out of guilt? Sometimes you need to adjust targets, not because you failed, but because you learned. Quarterly review is where you pivot or recommit. What evidence did I build? What identity strengthened? What should I continue? What should I stop? What will be my next 12-week objective? Here is what review is not. Review is not comparing yourself to someone else. Review is not collecting reasons to hate yourself. Review is not rewriting the whole plan every time you feel discomfort. Review is a calm conversation with reality. A real-life example. A man named Jordan tried to learn a new skill. He would study intensely for 3 days and then stop for 2 weeks. Every time, he would feel guilty. When he began weekly review, he realized the truth. His plan was too intense for weekdays. He was exhausted after work, so he shifted the plan. He studied 30 minutes on weekdays and 2 hours on Saturday. He stopped trying to be perfect. He started trying to be consistent. Within 12 weeks, he had completed the course. That is what review does. It turns effort into refinement. Reflection question. If you had to improve your plan by 10% rather than rewriting it completely, what would you change? Practical instruction. Schedule your weekly review now. Choose a day and time. Put it in your calendar as a non-negotiable appointment. Keep it short and calm. Bring your scoreboard, your plan, and your honesty. Recap. Review is the engine of long-term progress. When you review, you do not drift, you adjust. And when you adjust, you build a system that fits your life. Chapter 10. The Identity Link. This is the deepest layer. People do not fail because they do not know what to do. They fail because the plan clashes with their identity. If you still see yourself as inconsistent, you will sabotage consistency. If you still see yourself as someone who quits, you will find a reason to quit. If you still see yourself as someone who cannot focus, you will default to distraction. So you must attach your plan to identity. Not, I'm trying to work out. But, I'm someone who trains. Not, I'm trying to save money. But, I'm someone who manages my resources with discipline. Not, I'm trying to build a business. But, I'm someone who publishes, reaches out, and improves weekly. Identity is reinforced through evidence. That is why tracking and review matter. Not to impress yourself, to build proof. Every week, ask this. What did I do that proves who I am becoming? That question turns your plan into a self-image upgrade. Here is a simple identity sentence you can use. I am the type of person who follows through, even when it is inconvenient. Notice how that identity works everywhere. In health, in work, in relationships, in learning. Now let's make it more specific. Choose one domain and write, I am the type of person who creates results through consistent weekly action. Then define what consistent weekly action looks like for you. 3 workouts, 2 deep work blocks, 5 outreach messages, 1 date night, 2 hours of practice. Identity is not installed by saying words once. It is installed by repeated evidence. A short example. Someone wants to become a writer. That identity is not built by buying a laptop. It is built by writing every week. Someone wants to become a leader. That identity is not built by reading leadership quotes. It is built by having difficult conversations and making clear decisions. So do not wait until you feel like the person. Act like the person in small ways until the person becomes you. Now here is a powerful shift. Instead of saying, I hope I can do this, say, I keep promises to myself. That is an identity statement. Instead of saying, I'm not disciplined, say, I'm practicing discipline through my weekly plan. This is not lying to yourself. It is choosing a direction and reinforcing it with evidence. Reflection question. If you followed through for the next 12 weeks, what would you believe about yourself? Write that down. Practical instruction. Choose one identity sentence for this quarter. Write it somewhere you will see it daily. Then choose one action you will do this week that provides proof of that identity. Make the action so small you cannot excuse it. Recap. Goals are not only about results. They are about who you become while pursuing them. When you attach your plan to identity and build evidence weekly, follow-through becomes normal. Conclusion. You are no longer relying on motivation. You now have a system. You know how to define outcomes and how to build processes. You know how to write smart goals that guide action. You know how to set OKRs that create measurable evidence. You know how to plan strategically in real life. You know how to execute weekly, track simply, and review intelligently. And most importantly, you know this. Dreams do not become real because you want them. They become real because you convert them into a plan and practice the plan until it becomes identity. So here is your final commitment. Say it slowly, as if you are making a contract with yourself. I will not live on motivation. I will live on structure. I will choose one clear goal. I will define the process. I will measure progress. I will schedule the work. I will review weekly. I will adjust without guilt. And I will become the kind of person who follows through. Now take the dream you wrote at the beginning. Define it in one sentence. Turn it into a 12-week objective. Choose your weekly actions. Put the first block on the calendar. Then begin. If this audiobook helped you, subscribe to Be Believe. Become TV for more systems that build identity, discipline, and results. Take your dream and put it on the calendar.